Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My questions to the Minister of Social Development and Employment. What reports, if any, has she received on programs she has put in place since she became Minister?
The Honourable Paula
Mr
Bennett.
Speaker, I've received a number of reports which show that the programs put in place since National came into government have been achieving well.
That's right.
The Honourable Annette
Supplementary
King.
question, Mr Speaker. Does she agree with the Honourable John Key, who said New Zealand needs fewer politically correct programs like listening to music, and we need closer alignment between our economic needs and government-supported programs to ensure people flow into trades and apprenticeships? If not, why not?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I certainly agree with the Prime Minister, particularly when he talks about the need for us to create real jobs for young people and for New Zealanders out there. And that's about a bigger program than just one particular thing. It's about real jobs. It's about actually giving business confidence so that they can invest and employ more people.
Supplementary question,
The
Mr
Honourable Annette
Speaker.
King.
Do you agree with the Honourable Bill English, who said it was a nonsense to spend money on dodgy community programs when the economy is suffering from a lack of skilled workers? If not, why not?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I certainly agree with the Minister of Finance when he talks about how we need to assist those young people at this time with some government initiatives, but it is about the right investment, it's about that infrastructure programs, it's about the government putting the money where it needs to be so that businesses have that confidence to actually grow more real jobs for our young people.
Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister for Social Development and Employment, can she give us an example of how the government is working hard to ensure the success of its programs?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, the government is taking a long, hard look at the way we contract with the NGO sector and the relationships that we have with communities. We aren't just pointing at providers and saying, you have to change. We're saying if we want different outcomes, we have to do things differently. We have to change the way we contract, which is why I'm delighted that more high trust contracts with NGOs are about to be signed.
The Honourable Annette
Mr
King.
Speaker, is the criteria for Community Max still to support the completion of projects that benefit the community or the environment, creating jobs for young people and providing an opportunity for young people to build skills and work experience while contributing to the community? If not, what are the criteria?
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, yes, that is part of the criteria, but what I want to be quite clear about is that this is not a government that's sort of over-prescriptive or, what we do is we're actually backing communities to get on with it and do what's best for them within their communities. I mean, I must admit that when designing this program, we weren't sort of taking that control freak approach that we've certainly seen in the past. We trust those we contract with to get on with the delivery and do what's best for their communities.
Hon Harawira.
Mr Speaker, has the Minister seen the many enthusiastic reports showing how Community Max participants are now confident, knowledgeable and skilled enough to begin employment or training? And what incentives are being developed to create supported training, work options and jobs to build on this success?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, yes, I have seen many reports of positive outcomes from Community Max, and I know that the member himself has certainly approached me many times with good news stories of how that is working in his community to keep young people off. The follow-up is what's most important. We need to make sure that we're actually addressing long-term real jobs at the end of it.
The Honourable Annette King.
Speaker, does the use of Community Max funding, which by the provider's own admission is a recruitment tool for a rugby league team, paying 18 young men for 30 hours a week to have an opportunity around their sport with no literacy, no numeracy, no particular skill or training provided, meet the Community Max criteria or the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance promise to get rid of dodgy, politically correct programs? If so, for such a program to exist under her watch, will she tender her resignation? Oh, I'll start again, shall I, Mr Speaker?
Order. I'd ask members to show some courtesy. There's a structured question being asked and the House should hear it.
Start again.
No, I think the member just need finish it.
For such a program to exist under her watch, will she tender her resignation for failing to meet the Prime Minister's high standards that he has set for his ministers?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I'm not aware of the particular program that the member is talking about. But what I can say is that when you have a previous government that was so controlling and it had to be only their way, tick certain boxes, let's not support the young people themselves to actually be engaged and have real...
I apologise to the Minister, but on this occasion I'd ask the opposition to show a little respect. The question's been asked, in fact, by the opposition. Even if they're not interested in hearing the answer, I am. The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, as far as Community Max is concerned, what we've done is put it back to the communities to look at what's best for them and their environment. I'm not blaming them at all. I actually think they're doing a fantastic job, and that's certainly the difference between us and certainly Labor. I think they're stepping up, they're finding real opportunities for their young people, and one way to actually engage them is through sporting activities. So I'm going to back them. There's going to be the odd time we need to go back and check on some things, but I reckon they're doing a fantastic job and it's working well.
The Honourable Annette King.
Is accountability for the expenditure of taxpayers' money an important part of this government's program?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Yes, it certainly is. And amusingly enough, just last week the criticism from Labor in this House was that we weren't extending Community Max and they wanted to see more programs. And now today they're a bad thing. It's a bit like any policy we're seeing from the other side. It's sort of up and down and all around and not really well structured itself.
Hone Harawira.
To the Minister, what assurance can she give the House that the Community Max program, which has been very successful in and warmly welcomed by rural Māori communities right throughout the country, will be sustained beyond the next financial year?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, we are too pleased with how the program has developed. It has always been time limited. It was always a recessionary measure and Cabinet did put a major investment in that, but there's no obligations for that since then.
Question number 3, Sue Kedgley.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. A question for the Minister of Broadcasting.